The sun was shining brightly over the city, reflecting off the glass windows of the buildings and casting dancing shadows on the sidewalks. Inside a small but cozy restaurant, police officer Liam sat at a table, savoring a well-deserved lunch. After a morning filled with calls and complicated situations, he looked around, observing the hustle and bustle of the place. Couples were laughing at nearby tables. Children were running under the watchful eyes of their parents. And the waiter moved swiftly, serving hot dishes. The monotonous routine of police life unfolded in his mind, an endless cycle of work and duty. Liam picked up his fork, cut a piece of chicken, and brought it to his mouth while thinking about how the city always seemed to be in turmoil. Filled with stories and challenges, the taste of the seasoning was comforting, and he closed his eyes for a second, appreciating the pause he had for himself. But that tranquility was abruptly interrupted when a small boy, no more than 10 years old, appeared at his table. The boy had messy brown hair and was looking around with an expression of apprehension. He hesitated for a moment, as if weighing whether to approach or not. "Excuse me, sir," the boy whispered, his voice barely above the murmur of the restaurant. Liam looked at him, noticing the worry etched on his face. "You're a police officer, aren't you?" "I am, buddy," Liam replied, leaning slightly forward, intrigued by the boy's presence. "What do you need?" The boy looked around again, as if checking to see if anyone was watching. I need to talk to you. It's about my mom." His voice trembled, and Liam felt a chill run down his spine as he noticed the seriousness of the situation. The boy's gaze reflected a mix of fear and determination. "You can talk. I'm listening," Liam said, now completely focused on the boy. He made an encouraging gesture with his hand, inviting Noah to continue. "It's just that my dad, he hurts my mom," Noah said in a whisper, almost inaudible, as if fearing that the words could bring some condemnation. Liam's heart raced. He hadn't expected to hear something so alarming during a casual lunch. "Hurts how?" Liam asked, his voice firm yet calm, trying to convey reassurance to the boy. "What exactly happens?" Noah looked down, his small hands trembling. "He yells at her, and sometimes he hits her. I don't want him to do it again. I'm scared, very scared." The boy's words came out with difficulty, and Liam realized the depth of the despair he was feeling. The officer's mind quickly began to formulate plans, the need to act immediately becoming evident. "Do you feel safe here? Are you sure you don't want me to call someone to help?" Liam asked, trying to assess the situation. He knew that every second counted when it came to domestic violence. "I just want my mom to be okay," Noah replied, his eyes shining with tears he was struggling to hold back. "And I don't want her to be alone with him." Liam felt a wave of determination grow within him. He couldn't ignore the boy's plea. "Then let's do this. I'm going to help you, and we're going to make sure your mom is safe. Where is she right now?" Noah looked at Liam, his gaze filled with hope, yet still carrying the burden of fear. "Hello, my friends. I'm here to ask a big favor of you. If you like the videos on our channel, please subscribe and help us reach the milestone of 1,000 subscribers this month. Subscribe and help us make this dream come true. Most of our viewers watch and enjoy the content, but forget to subscribe. So please, help us reach this goal. Thank you very much, and let's continue with the video. She's at home. He left for work. Great, said Liam, already getting up. We need to go to her. I'm going to call for backup so we can ensure her safety. Come with me. The urgency in the officer's voice made Noah nod, and together they left the restaurant, ready to face a situation that would change their lives forever. While waiting for backup, Liam tried to calm Noah, who seemed increasingly restless. The boy scanned the room with nervous glances, as if expecting something bad to happen at any moment. Liam knelt down to the boy's level and said softly, "It's okay, Noah. I'm here to help your mom. Did you remember anything else you want to tell me?" Noah hesitated, his gaze fixed on Ethan, who was sitting at a distant table, nervously fiddling with the tablecloth. He looked agitated, casting furtive glances in Liam and Noah's direction. He always does this, Noah finally murmured, his voice trembling. Sometimes he yells at Mommy, and other times he hurts her. I don't want him to do anything bad to her. Liam's expression hardened. He felt a wave of anger and protectiveness. You're being very brave, Noah. It's important that you spoke up. Now, let's make sure your mom is safe. He looked at the boy, trying to convey the confidence he himself needed to feel. Noah continued, his voice still low, but with a touch of determination. He says she's useless, that no one will believe her. He always talks about how people are different. He doesn't like people like us. These words echoed in Liam's mind, revealing not only the physical violence, but also the racial hostility that permeated the family dynamic. The weight of the situation was becoming increasingly clear. That's not right, Noah, Liam replied, the firmness in his voice trying to comfort the boy. No one should be treated that way. No one deserves to live in fear. I'll do whatever it takes to help your mom. He cast a meaningful glance at Ethan, who now seemed more restless than ever, his hand gripping the glass of water in front of him. Look, he's nervous, Liam commented, looking back at Noah. Have you seen him like this before? The boy shook his head, his eyes wide with fear. When he's nervous, he gets more aggressive. I don't want Mommy to be alone with him. He might do something. Noah's apprehension resonated in Liam's mind. He knew he needed to act quickly. The police will be here soon, and we'll make sure your mom is safe. Do you remember where she might be? It could be important to find her quickly. Noah thought for a moment, his small fingers nervously intertwined. She might be in her room. Sometimes she locks herself in there when he gets like that. Liam nodded, a sense of urgency growing within him. Great, that helps us a lot. Now, I need you to stay here with me and not worry. We'll sort this out together. He looked again at Ethan, who was now getting up, appearing increasingly uncomfortable. The officer felt his protective instinct intensify. Something wasn't right. As soon as backup arrived, Liam took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline rush through his veins. Guys, we need to act fast. This kid says his mom might be in danger. We need to get to their house immediately. He turned to Ethan, who was already trying to leave the restaurant. Hey, you! Where do you think you're going? Ethan turned, his expression shifting from nervousness to hostility. What are you doing with my son? He can't stay here. His voice was loud and threatening, drawing the attention of other patrons in the restaurant. Liam didn't hesitate. He stepped closer to Ethan, positioning himself between the man and Noah. You're not going anywhere. We need to talk about your wife, and you're going to do it here and now. The tension in the air was palpable, and Noah watched, a mix of fear and hope in his eyes. Liam knew he needed to be firm, but also cautious. The last thing he wanted was to provoke a violent reaction from Ethan before the situation was under control. The scene unfolded in a tense silence as backup positioned themselves around, ready to intervene at any moment. Liam turned to Noah, who looked visibly nervous. "Stay here, Noah. I'll take care of this." The boy nodded, his hands trembling as he watched his father with a look of fear. The fight for Emily's safety and Noah's protection was just beginning, and Liam was determined not to let violence prevail. Liam felt the adrenaline coursing through his veins as he watched Ethan trying to wriggle out of the situation. The man was anxious, and Liam's eyes narrowed as he noticed the alternating expressions of desperation and anger on his face. "You can't escape reality, Ethan. We have a report of abuse, and you need to answer for it," Liam said, his voice firm but controlled. Noah, beside him, was tense, clutching the officer's shirt with his small, trembling hands. "He's going to hurt my mom again, isn't he?" the boy asked, his voice barely a whisper. Liam crouched down, looking into the boy's eyes.
Don't worry, Don't worry, Noah. We'll make sure she's safe. You were very brave for speaking up, he replied, trying to convey reassurance. However, Noah's expression was one of genuine and deep concern, as if the anguish he carried weighed more than his frail body could bear. As the other officers surrounded Ethan, Liam watched the man squirm. "You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a criminal," Ethan shouted, his voice echoing through the restaurant. People around began to stare, some with curiosity, others with disgust. Liam didn't let the man's words shake him. "You need to understand that this isn't about what you think it is. This is about your wife and your son. It's about the choices you've made," Liam said, his voice now lower, but still firm. He knew he needed to act quickly. The last thing he wanted was for Ethan to have a chance to escape and cause more harm. Backup finally arrived. With a hand signal, Liam indicated they should surround Ethan. "You're under arrest, Ethan. Calm down and come with us," one of the officers ordered, while two others approached to restrain the man. Noah watched it all, his eyes wide, but there was a spark of determination in his gaze. He wasn't just watching. He wanted to protect his mother, and the fear was palpable. Liam crouched down again to talk to Noah. "Come on, I need you to come with me. We're going to take care of your mom now, okay?" The boy nodded, though he still seemed a bit hesitant. With a gesture, Liam signaled for him to follow him to the car. The urgency took over the officer as he led Noah to the vehicle. The image of Emily, the boy's mother, in danger loomed in his mind like a dark cloud. He needed to get to their house quickly and make sure she was safe. During the drive, he tried to keep the conversation light, even knowing Noah was more concerned about his mother's safety than anything else. "Do you like sports, Noah?" Liam asked, trying to ease the tension in the air. The boy hesitated, looking out the window. "I like soccer," he replied, his voice low, but there was a certain joy in talking about it. "I play on the school team." "That's awesome. You must be really good. Once all this is over, maybe you can show me some moves," Liam said, smiling at the boy in the rearview mirror. Noah looked at him, a shy smile appearing on his lips. "I can try," he replied, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Finally, upon arriving at the house, Liam felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. He didn't know what he might find inside. With his heart racing, he got out of the car and quickly headed for the front door. "Stay here, Noah. I'm going to check if everything is okay," Liam said, trying to be reassuring. The boy nodded, but his expression showed he was battling fear. Liam forced the door open, and what he saw inside left him paralyzed for a moment. The place was in disarray. Furniture was overturned, and a sense of urgency filled the space. Then, in a corner of the room, he spotted Emily. Liam's heart raced as he realized she was gravely injured, leaning against a wall, with visible signs of violence on her body. The scene was shocking, and for a brief moment, he felt anger bubbling inside him. "Emily!" he shouted, running to her. The shock and pain on her face were evident. The urgency of the situation became palpable, and Liam knew he needed to act quickly to ensure she was safe. "I'm here. You're safe now," he said, trying to convey calm amid the chaos. Liam looked at Emily, who was leaning against the wall, with a look of pain and despair. Her face, marked by bruises and scratches, told a story of suffering that the officer couldn't ignore. He crouched in front of her, maintaining a calm and serious demeanor, but with a touch of empathy. "Emily, I need you to tell me everything that happened," he said, his voice gentle but firm. She took a deep breath, trying to gather her courage. "Ethan, he's not who you think he is. He's always been controlling. But things got worse after Noah was born. He can't stand me having friends, and he always says horrible things about people who aren't like him," she said, her voice choked. "He's racist. He doesn't like me talking to people of other races. That's just made him more aggressive." Liam felt a knot form in his stomach. The reality of what was happening there became clearer with each of Emily's words. "You're safe now. I'll take care of this. But I need you to be honest with me. Have you reported him before?" "Does anyone else know about this?" he asked, glancing at Noah, who was standing nearby, with wide, worried eyes. "I tried, but he always threatened me. He said if I talked to the police, I'd never see Noah again." "I didn't want to put my son in danger," Emily replied, tears streaming down her face. "But he doesn't stop. The last time was last night. He was so furious that I talked to a friend. He assaulted me. And Noah, my God, I didn't want him to see this." Liam felt an urge to protect that woman and her child at all costs. "You were incredibly brave for speaking up now. From today on, you are not alone. We will make sure Ethan cannot hurt you again," he stated, his voice firm. Meanwhile, Noah watched the exchange between his mother and the officer, feeling a mix of fear and hope. He moved a little closer, as if wanting to protect himself, but also to show he was strong. "Officer, you're going to arrest my dad, right? He can't do this to Mommy," Noah said, his voice trembling but firm. "Yes, Noah. I will do everything I can to make sure he doesn't hurt anyone else." "You and your mom are safe now," Liam replied, looking directly into the boy's eyes, trying to convey the security he needed. The ambulance siren sounded in the distance, and Liam knew time was running out. He needed to act quickly. "Emily, I'm going to call the ambulance for you to get treatment, and I'm going to need you to give me more details about what happened so we can bring him to justice," he said, reaching for his radio and calling for backup. As he waited for the ambulance to arrive, Liam began organizing his thoughts about the situation. He realized that this was not just a case of domestic violence, but a problem rooted in social and racial issues that were often ignored. The connection between violence and racism that Emily mentioned echoed in his mind. He could not just intervene. He needed to understand the depth of that pain and fight for real change. The ambulance arrived quickly, and the paramedics entered the house, ready to assess Emily. Liam, still on alert, decided to stay by her side, watching every move. "You're going to be okay, Emily. They will take care of you. And I'll be here. I will make sure your son is safe too," he said, as the paramedics began examining her injuries. "Thank you, officer. I just want Noah to be safe. He doesn't deserve to go through this," Emily said, her voice low but full of gratitude. Liam looked at Noah, who was silently watching everything, and felt a wave of determination. He would not only protect that family, he would fight to ensure their voices were heard, and that cases like this would no longer be ignored. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but the courage he saw in Noah and Emily inspired him to move forward. Liam took a deep breath as he prepared for the interrogation. The room was cold and austere, with gray walls and a metal table in the center. He looked at Ethan, who was sitting across from him with his arms crossed and a disdainful expression. The officer knew he needed to be methodical, that every word told and every piece of evidence presented was crucial to ensure justice was served. "How are you feeling, Ethan?" Liam began, his voice firm but controlled. Ethan lifted his chin, trying to project a confidence he clearly did not possess. "Let's talk about your wife, Emily." Ethan let out a sarcastic laugh. "Oh, so you're going to hear her side? A hysterical woman who doesn't know what she's talking about?" Liam felt his blood boil. "You know full well she's not here to defend herself, Ethan. But we have evidence of what happened, a lot of it." He slid some photographs across the table. Images showing the bruises and injuries Emily had suffered. "Do you really think you can just get away with this?" Ethan's expression darkened. "Those photos don't prove anything. She's always been dramatic. I was just trying to discipline her." "Discipline her?" Liam repeated, his voice now more severe. "You assaulted her, and that is a crime, not just against her, but against anyone who believes in the right to live without fear." He leaned forward, observing Ethan's reaction, who now seemed nervous, his eyes shifting anxiously from side to side. "You don't know what it's like to live with a woman who doesn't respect authority," Ethan shot back, anger evident in his voice. "She needs to learn to behave." "Behave?" Liam couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You have no idea what respect is. What you did is abuse, and there is no excuse for it." He picked up a folder with documents and began listing the complaints filed by neighbors and friends of Emily, who had heard the screams and the fights. "Do you think everyone is lying, Ethan? That your image as a good father and husband is more important than the truth?" The man's face contorted with rage, and he slammed his hand on the table. "She provoked me. I'm not a monster. She knows how to irritate me." "Monster or not, you need to face the consequences of your actions," Liam said, maintaining his calm. "You cannot keep hurting the people you love and think that's acceptable." As Ethan tried to defend himself, Liam thought of Noah and the courage the boy had shown by approaching him in the restaurant. He remembered the look of desperation on his face, the determination to protect his mother. The reality that Ethan could walk away unpunished from this situation was not an option. He needed to ensure that Noah and Emily were safe. Shortly after, the door to the room opened, and Noah, accompanied by Emily and a social worker, entered. The boy hesitated upon seeing his father, but Liam made an encouraging gesture, winking at him. "It's okay, Noah. You're very brave for being here." Emily, though visibly shaken, walked firmly beside her son. "We want justice," she declared, her voice clear. "We cannot live in fear of him." Liam turned to Ethan, who was now visibly agitated, his hands trembling on the table. "Did you hear that, Ethan? Their courage is your weakness." "This isn't over," Ethan shouted. But Liam just smiled at him, knowing the truth was on Noah and Emily's side. He turned to the social worker, who was ready to support the family in whatever was needed. "We will ensure you have all the support you need," Liam said, looking into Emily's eyes. "You are not alone." Noah, his voice trembling, turned to Liam. "You're going to help us, right? So he can never hurt Mommy again?" "Yes, Noah," Liam affirmed, his determination renewed. "I will do everything in my power to protect you." The boy smiled slightly, the light of hope beginning to shine in his eyes. In that moment, Liam knew the fight was just beginning, but the courage of Noah and Emily would give them the strength they needed to face what was to come. The courtroom was packed, the atmosphere heavy with tension as everyone awaited the start of Ethan's trial. Liam, sitting on the witness stand, felt the pressure mounting. With his gaze fixed on the door, he knew this was the opportunity to seek justice, not just for Emily, but for all those who had suffered in silence. When Ethan entered, the murmurs in the room ceased. The man, who had previously seemed so imposing, was now visibly nervous, his eyes darting quickly across everyone present. As soon as the judge entered, the proceedings began. Liam was called to testify, and as he stood up, he felt the weight of the words he was about to speak. He positioned himself in front of the judge and the jurors, trying to remain calm as he began recounting the events of that fateful night. "On the day I responded to the emergency call, I found Emily in a critical situation. She was injured and visibly scared. The boy Noah had alerted me about what was happening at home. The room fell silent, everyone absorbing each word. Liam's voice echoed firmly, but his heart raced. Emily told me that her husband, Ethan, often abused her, and that he had a racist and controlling demeanor. The fear was etched on her face, and that motivated me to act quickly." As Liam spoke, Ethan watched him with a challenging gaze, but there was a crack in his confidence. He tried to maintain the posture of an alpha male, but an aura of desperation began to spread around him. The defense attorney, a woman with dark hair and a sharp suit, stood up and began to question Liam. "Officer, are you sure you're not just taking Emily's word for it?" Liam took a deep breath. "It wasn't just her word. I saw the evidence. I saw the marks on her body, the way she behaved. Everything pointed to a pattern of abuse." The attorney frowned, but she couldn't undermine Liam's resolve. In a crucial moment of the trial, Noah was called to testify. He entered the room, small and fragile, yet with a determination that was impressive. Liam remembered the courage the boy had shown in approaching a police officer.
Noah, can you tell us what you witnessed at home? The judge asked gently. The boy hesitated, but finally spoke. I saw my dad yelling at Mom, and then I heard her crying. He always says she's worthless, that she doesn't matter. The silence in the room was palpable. Noah's sincerity brought tears to the eyes of some jurors. And then, as if the truth were about to be revealed, an audio recording was presented as evidence. Liam watched as the recording began to play. It was Noah's voice, capturing the moment Ethan threatened Emily. The words of rage and contempt echoed through the room, and Ethan's expression shifted to panic. You'll never get out of this, Emily. No one will believe you. Noah's voice trembled, but the courage he had shown was admirable. The jurors looked at Ethan, who was now visibly agitated, trying to defend himself. This isn't what it seems. It's a setup, he shouted, but his defense sounded weak. After the evidence was presented, the room was filled with a heavy silence. The judge withdrew to deliberate, and Liam felt anxiety rising. He knew that Emily and Noah's lives were in the hands of those jurors. Finally, the judge returned and announced the verdict. Ethan, you have been found guilty of the charges of assault and threat. The room erupted in murmurs, and Noah turned to Emily, who hugged him tightly, crying with relief. Liam watched the scene, his heart warming as he witnessed the strength emerging from that adversity. As Ethan was taken away, Noah looked at Liam with shining eyes. Thank you, officer. You saved us. The boy's words echoed in his heart, reminding him of why he had chosen this profession. Justice had truly prevailed in that courtroom, but more importantly, the courage of a child had changed the fate of an entire family.